I promise you, the only thing that you need is God. And I was mad at myself because I was like, it's been a year, and why do I still let it affect me in this way? Just because I'm having a bad moment doesn't mean I'm going to have a bad day. If I'm being really honest, and this is a little uncomfortable for me to be this honest, my body was actually trembling and my breath was beating really fast. Really, after that moment, I came to this realization where I told myself, I never want to feel like that again. Don't romanticize your relationship. There is a reason that you're no longer with that person. I would rather be alone for the rest of my life than to be in a relationship or a marriage where I knew that this person wasn't the right person for me. If you're struggling understanding if your current relationship is good for you or right for you, ask yourself this simple question. You can't expect something out of a partner that you're not willing to do or be yourself. Hi, Harmonizers. I hope everybody is having an awesome start to their 2024. So today we're going to dive in a little bit more about the video that we did previous to this one about singleness. On that video, I tried to be as authentic and vulnerable as possible about some of the things I struggle with, as a single woman, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? In hopes that maybe you listening to this podcast, you are single, you're going through a single season, maybe a very recent breakup, or maybe you're married and you struggle with something similar to that, where you feel like you have pressure from your family to do something that you may not want at the moment, that may not be right for you at the moment. So whatever it is, on this episode, we're also going to be talking about singleness, but I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the things that I struggle with as a single woman, and the things specifically that I struggled with when I was newly single, when I got out of my last relationship. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys the tips that has helped me so much, just really have true joy in this season and enjoy my life to the fullest in my singleness. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, your single season is the most exciting, adventurous, joyful time of your life. Let me explain. That's something that took me a little bit, that took me some time to wrap my head around, to be honest with you. I think I would say as women, but I'm going to be honest, I'm positive men go through this as well, because I've actually heard men express this too, that we feel like if we're not in a relationship or we don't have a partner at the moment, that we're missing something. Really, when you think about it, kind of what sparked my thought on this is I was listening to a podcast the other day that had absolutely nothing to do with relationships or love, and much less singleness. It was this woman on the Bigger Pockets podcast. It's a real estate podcast that I've talked about before. And this amazing, incredible woman that came from a small village in Africa. And she was in a village where by the time she was 12 and 13, it was already decided who she was going to marry, and how her life worked. Her parents, or her guardians, because she was an orphan, her parents had died when she was very young. Her guardians had actually set her up with an arranged marriage to marry this man who was much, much older than her. And as you can imagine, as any 12 or 13-year-old girl, you're like, I don't want to marry this man. And she saw education, going to school, as her way out of getting into this marriage with this man that was arranged for her. And it sparked something in my head to think, wow, there's literally women and people around the world who would do anything to be single right now in this moment. Their singleness was essentially, her singleness was going to be taken away from her. And sure enough, she said that she pursued education. She gave it her everything. And that's how she found herself to eventually come to America and get out of that village that she grew up in. But it really opened my eyes about the true blessing that is your single season. And after listening to that podcast, I really turned my life around and realized, wow, this is the funnest time of my life. This is the most adventurous time of my life. And I know that sounds inauthentic. And if it does, I respect that. And there's people who aren't going to be okay that you're single, or they're not going to think that you're truly happy, and that's okay. But really, the only thing that matters is how you view your singleness, and most importantly, how God views your singleness. How are you fostering your single season? Maybe there's something that He wants you to do right now. Maybe there's a job opportunity that He wants you to pursue. Maybe there's a business that He wants you to start. Maybe there's a podcast that He wants you to start. Maybe there's a friend that He wants you to meet and have a beautiful friendship with that's going to completely change the trajectory of your life. Being single is not the same as being alone. So a lot of times when we're single, we struggle with loneliness and social pressure to be in a relationship. But just because you're single does not mean that you can't be going out every weekend with your friends, going to have dinner, having girls' nights in, having girls' night outs, having fun, hanging out with the guys, going to the movies with your friends, going to hang out with your family, getting involved in your church, making friends at church, being a part of Bible studies, being part of different sports teams and gym teams. There's so many things that you can do in your singleness. And if you feel like you're lonely, you may not be enjoying your single season to the fullest. I promise you, society is going to tell you that you need a partner right now. You might even tell yourself that you need a partner right now. But truly, the only thing that you need is God. And He wants you to enjoy your singleness. He wants you to go out there, have the time of your life, make lasting memories, and be adventurous, because this is the most exciting season of your life. And it's important that we live it to the fullest. So there's my 2 cents on the struggles of loneliness and social pressure. Just because you're single does not mean that you are alone. Also, it is okay to have those bad days, kind of like what I shared in the last episode. It's really easy for me to come on here and tell you how fun being single is and adventurous it is. And sometimes it truly does feel that way, but especially when you're fresh coming out of a relationship. When I broke up with my last boyfriend, there were really good days for me and really bad days for me. And I don't know about you, but it sucked because there were some times where I would go weeks being super happy, even months, and then I would find myself a year later still having those days of mourning and those days of sadness, or those moments of sadness. And I was mad at myself because I was like, it's been a year, and why do I still let it affect me in this way? And I wish someone told me that it's okay to have bad days, that having bad days is a healthy part of your journey. It's okay to have a bad moment. It's okay to not feel confident. It's okay to not feel 100%, because if you're freshly out of a relationship, you shared so much vulnerability, love, time, care with this person. So it's only normal that you're going to be having some collateral damage afterwards, for lack of a better word. If you were to move on from one day to the other, I suppose that's possible, but that would essentially mean that you're a robot. No human being can have such love and care for somebody and the next day you get over it. So all to say, you having bad days is a testament that you really loved and cared for that person. And there's nothing wrong about that. That's nothing that you should be ashamed of. I highly recommend when you're having those bad days to just let yourself have a bad moment. Something that helped me is I would tell myself, okay, just because I'm having a bad moment doesn't mean I'm going to have a bad day. I might feel sad right now, but that doesn't mean that my whole day is ruined. And sure enough, something comes up that turns my day around, and I start to notice all of the things that I have to be grateful for. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I just tell God, thank you for my hair. I know there's people around the world who don't have hair on their head. I'm grateful for it. Thank you for my toes. I know there's people around the world who don't have feet and who have to get from place to place in a wheelchair. Thank you for my toes. Lord, thank you for my family. Forgive me for the times I take them for granted. I'm so lucky to have a family like the one I do. And I just start going, no matter how small it is. God, thank you for my fingernails. Thank you for the fact that I have hands. And that really starts to shift my mood, because it is sometimes a discipline. And that's just the reality. Sometimes it's a discipline to be happy. You're going to feel like crap. You're going to feel like booty. Your confidence is going to be low. Your self-esteem is going to be low. Your energy is going to be low. And that's okay. That's normal. That means that you're a human being. But sometimes there's little things that we can do to completely change our energy around and really get us out of our rut. And to me, the most helpful thing is just going one by one about the things I'm grateful for, no matter how big, no matter how small. And that puts into perspective the pain that I'm going through at the moment. The next struggle that a lot of young adults go with is their identity and their self-worth. A lot of times, and I think I went through this where I was in relationship after relationship after relationship, and I wasn't, this is just me being real. I didn't have a point for years where I was just completely single. When I was getting out of a relationship, I was always talking to somebody. I was going on dates, which is nothing wrong with that, honestly. I was going on dates or I was talking to somebody. There was always somebody that I was talking to. And if I'm being really honest, and this is a little uncomfortable for me to be this honest, there was a lot of men who I didn't actually necessarily really like or have feelings for, saw a future with, but just that companionship, having somebody to text every day, having somebody check up on you, that's what I wanted. So I found myself essentially settling for relationships that weren't right for me just for that companionship, or even just talking with people who weren't aligned with the relationship that I wanted. And I remember one day vividly, I have never, thank you God, hopefully this doesn't change in the future, but I wasn't really one to ever have like panic attacks or anxiety attacks. But I remember this one relationship, very short, that I was in a couple years ago. And I remember it was a point in my life where I just got out of a longer relationship. So I think I was still mourning. As I said, I was talking to him. So I was trying to get my mind off of my ex. It doesn't matter. Just being very honest here. I probably did not have the most feelings for this person, but they helped me, I guess, stop thinking about my ex, and they gave me that companionship, which was obviously horrible and wrong. So anyways, I remember being with this guy, and there was one day where I was in my room after the gym and my heart started beating really fast, and I started to start breathing heavy, and I literally, I wouldn't call it a panic attack, but it felt very different. And I remember it vividly because the thought of me being with this person for the rest of my life literally gave me emotional anxiety, but also physical anxiety. Like my body was actually trembling and my breath was beating really fast. So from that day on, I really started to, shortly after we had broke up, because it was the best thing to do. But really after that moment, I came to this realization where I told myself, I never want to feel like that again. I never want to be in a position where I feel like I'm in a relationship that I don't want to be with this person, and start a family with this person. And that may just be my goals and where I'm at, and it might be different for you. But I remember feeling so physically horrible and saying I would rather be alone for the rest of my life than to be in a relationship or a marriage where I knew that this person wasn't the right person for me. Because there is just, no matter what anyone tells you, no matter what that person tells you, no matter what you tell yourself, you know that that relationship and that person is not right for you. And there's nothing that you can do to convince yourself otherwise. You could try to cover it up, but at the end of the day, in your gut of guts, you know that that relationship is not in harmony with the relationship and the life that you want. So I had that sensation, and from there on, I just haven't been in a serious relationship with, because I I had that kind of revelation, which I say that all to say that if I might not be the only one who went through that or is going through that, where you're speaking with somebody just to fill that gap or to have companionship because you have pressure from your family, social influences, and you put your identity and your self-worth into a relationship or whether you're talking to somebody. But I promise you, the only one that defines your self-worth is God, and He made you amazing and whole just as you are by yourself. And I pray that there is a person, if marriage is the route that you want to go down, that you find that adds to your life. But until you find that person, please do not settle for people who subtract from your life, who aren't going to bring more joy and more happiness in your life. God promises you the abundant life with or without a husband, with or without a spouse. He has given you that promise. And in this single season, we have the incredible ability to utilize that to the highest extent, whether we're talking to somebody or whether we're not. If you're also going through a season where maybe you're having bad days or you're thinking about your last relationship, I heard this piece of advice that really, really helped me when I was single that says, oftentimes we romanticize about the past and we fantasize about the future instead of enjoying the present moment that God gave us today. And I definitely saw myself doing that. Whenever I would think about my ex, I would romanticize, oh, we used to go here and we used to do these things and this was the music that we listened to. And that would make me feel worse and make my bad moments extra bad because I would find myself missing that person. But really, the true reality is if you were meant to be with that person, you would be with them. And there is a reason that you're no longer together. And that's something that I would find myself saying, wait. That was really cool that one time we did that. And that was really cool, the music that we listened to. But also I remember crying myself to bed this many times. I also remember feeling like having anxiety attacks, thinking the feeling that I was going to be with this person forever. I also remember that date that went really, really bad. And the fights that I would have with my family because of it. So I say that all to remind you, it's very easy, and it probably is a trick from the enemy to convince you that your relationship is something that you need, and that it was better than it actually was. But instead of remembering the things that were good about your last relationship, I encourage you to also, more importantly, remind yourself about the things that were wrong about that relationship, because it affirms your decision to choose not to be with that person anymore and to keep looking forward. So don't romanticize your relationship. There is a reason that you're no longer with that person. While you're single, it can sometimes be difficult navigating through relationships as you're talking to different people, as you're dating new people, as you're learning new things. Something that's really helped me in my single season is if you're struggling understanding if your current relationship is good for you or right for you, ask yourself this simple question. Is this person bringing me closer to God or further away from God? Your true partner, the right person for you, is going to draw you closer to God. It's going to further strengthen the faith and the relationship that you have with God. And the wrong person for you is going to pull you away from Him. So if that person that you're talking to or you're speaking to right now, he or she doesn't strengthen your faith, that may mean that that person is not the right person for you. Because the right person is going to bring you closer to God, not further away from Him. So in conclusion, I'm going to be sharing with you the most important things that I learned in order to foster my single season and to live it to the fullest and enjoy it to the highest extent. So the first one that's really helped me is to be the kind of person that you're looking for in your future spouse. In one of the last episodes that we did with Bella and Lupe, they did an amazing job explaining how you can't expect something out of a partner that you're not willing to do or be yourself. For example, health is very important to me. Somebody who, because of some issues that I've had, some family issues, health is really important to me. Does this person take care of themselves in terms of the food that they eat and the lifestyle that they have? Obviously, looks help. You want to be with someone that you're attracted to. But most importantly for me, I want to be with somebody who's healthy, who I don't have to, don't eat this. Let's go for a walk. Let's go hiking. I already want somebody who, has that vision for their life to be physically healthy. So if I'm looking for that in a partner, I need to be that myself. Another thing that I started doing in my singleness is I started going to church by myself. And that's something that I did early on. And I'm not going to lie to you, in the beginning, it's a little hard. I would go and I would feel a little bit uncomfortable and I would sit in the back. But over time, I started to really enjoy it and even look forward to it. And now it's very rare when I go to church by myself, or I'm usually serving, which I'm happy to do and I love it. But I do find myself saying, man, I wish I could go to church by myself again. I really wish those times where it was just me by myself. Obviously, I'm very grateful at the moment. I love going to church with my friends and my family as well. But I use all of that to say, to encourage you to go to church by yourself. If that's something that you used to do with your partner or something you don't feel comfortable doing because you're single, please do it. Please consider giving it a try. It is not as weird as it sounds. It may be uncomfortable in the beginning, but I promise you, it's one of the most liberating things that you can do in your singleness season. So that's one of my biggest tips for fostering your season of singleness. The next is to avoid casual relationships. Now, I know there's going to be people who disagree with me, and I understand that, and I respect that. But of course, this podcast is going to be my experience and the things that I do that helped me. So that's why I'm sharing it from my perspective. And when I stopped having casual relationships, just texting or hanging out with guys who I knew weren't necessarily in line with the relationship that I wanted. When I decided to stop doing that, that's when I truly felt joy. That's when I truly felt happiness. That's when I truly felt like I could be by myself. I was listening to the music I wanted to listen to. I was going to the restaurants I wanted to go to. I was doing things the way that I wanted to, how I wanted to do it. And it was just the most liberating thing for me. A lot of times I would find myself in casual relationships, and I see this with my friends a lot, where we don't take that person very seriously because we just see it as casual. But then when that person is maybe talking to other people, or they're doing other things, or maybe they don't respond to your text, or maybe they don't just stop responding to you in general, it's very normal for you to feel some type of way, even though you necessarily weren't crazy about that person. So that can cause a lot of unneeded confusion, a lot of unnecessary pain. One of my biggest tips to foster your singleness that has really, really helped me is to avoid casual relationships. Only be with and give your time and your love and your energy and your heart to people who deserve it and people who are in line with the relationship that you truly want. The next is to have fun. In all of my relationships in the past, some were great, some were not so great. All of them I had fun. All of them I made great memories. But this moment in my life right now, where I'm not in a relationship, where I'm not seriously talking to anybody, this is the most fun that I've had. I'm going out, I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm volunteering at church. I know that may not sound fun to a lot of people, but for me, that's very fun. I'm doing all of the things that I like to do. I'm hanging out with my family. I'm meeting new people. I'm learning new things about myself that I didn't in the past. I'm not having any physical interactions with people and very low emotional interactions because it's very starter. But I really enjoy the beauty of dating in singleness, talking to new people, learning about the things that I like, the things that I don't like. And that might not be for you. That might not be for you, but something that I would encourage you to do in your singleness season is to date, is to talk to other people. I'm abstinent. So I'm not having sex currently outside of marriage. I don't recommend that you do that either. But, obviously there's going to be people who disagree with that, and that's okay. But yes, I do recommend that if you are dating, that it is completely, there's no sex involved, because sex can really cloud your judgment and make you like that person more than you actually do. But I really think it is a good idea to put yourself out there and to get to know more people and learn more about yourself. So have fun in this season. Do it a godly and a holy way, but really be adventurous, put yourself out there and meet new people. Also, find your purpose. This year, I encourage you to try to pursue new things professionally in terms of your career, instead of obsessing over the relationship that you may or may not have right now. Instead, whenever you're having a bad day, put that energy into starting your own business, into furthering your career, into doing a new hobby, into trying a new sport. In the past, whenever I would have bad days, I would just put it into my business. I would just put it into my work. And that was very therapeutic for me. So that might not be the same for you, but in this amazing, exciting, adventurous, joyful season of your life right now, I highly encourage you to put as much time and effort into getting close with God, trying new things, and really understanding what your gifts, your strengths, your talents are, and what your true vision and goal is for your life, and to try it out, to pursue it, to put yourself out there, to fail. Every single day I put myself out there, and every single day I look like an idiot. I look like an idiot, and that's okay, because I'm getting closer and closer to the life that I want and having achieving the purpose that God has for me. So this is an exciting time to put yourself out there, because there's nothing holding you back. And lastly, this is not for everybody, and nobody is probably going to take me up on this, but something that I was very hesitant to do, but I started to do in my singleness season, and it's one of my favorite normal routines, is to take myself out on a date. I know there was a time where I was like, I really want to go to this nice restaurant, but nobody wants to go with me. And I remember thinking, I'll just go by myself. And I did. And I think I've mentioned this in another video. And whenever I go on my solo dates, I actually just got back from one, I have the best time because I get to do exactly what I want to do. I get to go exactly where I want to go. I bring my book. I get to eat and order exactly what I want to order. And I know that sounds crazy. I know that is not for most people. And I will tell you, in the beginning, it can be uncomfortable, but doing that, putting myself in that uncomfortable position, and then kind of being okay with if people thought I was weird, if people thought it was weird that I was doing it, really helped me, because it helped me come to a place where I'm like, but I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to enjoy the season that I'm in right now. And I'm not going to wait for a guy, a partner, a spouse to take me to a place that I really want to go to. So it's been the most freeing, liberating thing for me. Now I really enjoy my solitude. I really look forward to it. This year I'm making it a goal to take myself out on a date once every other month. I know that sounds crazy, and you might not do this. You might be saying, girl, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. You're insane. I will die before you catch me at a restaurant by myself. That's fine. I respect it. Even if it's just a small restaurant, even if it's just going to the movies by yourself. I don't know what it is, but doing those little practices where you break down that barrier about caring about what other people think, and getting really, really comfortable in your own company where you actually look forward to it. I don't have the words to explain how there is nothing like it, and I highly recommend for you to consider trying it. In conclusion, my final point is, your time on this world is so small. What really matters at the end of the day is your eternity. This world, how it is right now in its present form, is passing away. You have so much to look forward to. God has promised you an abundant and a prosperous and a joyful life. And this world is nothing compared to the world to come. So maybe you're having a bad day. Maybe you're going through a season in your life where you're single and you do feel alone. You feel like you're not worthy because you don't have a partner. Where you're at right now is not where you're going to be forever. And your relationship with God is more important than any relationship that you can have with a friend, that you can have with a loved one, that you can have with a spouse, that you can have with anybody. And that's the true one that we should put our attention to and foster. Don't get me wrong, having a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife is an amazing, beautiful thing. God says that to have a wife is to have an amazing thing, and that is true, but never base your self-worth and the quality of your life on that, because at the end of the day, this world that we're living in is passing away, and the true life that matters is our eternity. And only relationship that is the most important at the end of the day is your relationship with God. So your value is not determined by your relationship status. Your value is determined by God's value that he puts on you. And he has made you incredibly, perfectly unique, and everything about you, he formed intentionally. And I pray that you never forget that. So that's all we have for this video today. I am going to go to bed because this week was a long week, but I hope that this video inspired you to consider finding the joy in your singleness, and really helped you in some way to really foster and enjoy this season. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Or being okay that I might never be a wife one day. Why does it bother these people if I'm the most happy I've ever been? And it made me upset and it made me frustrated. But I was like, you know what? They just want the best for me, and they probably just don't want me to be alone.